Now joining us on the show today. Oh, I'm so excited to have him on. You guys see stuff on Twitter, online, Philly Sports Network. He is awesome, doing a great job of covering the Philadelphia Union. Please welcome on in our dear friend, Jimmy King. Jimmy, what's
Hey, how's it
happening,
going, guys?
brother?
How's it
How you
going? Can you
feeling,
guys
man?
hear me okay?
Yeah, can hear you
Right on.
perfectly.
Awesome. Just wanted to start out, beautifully said by all of you regarding
Thank you,
Holden
sir.
Trent. Very heartbreaking situation there. I think back to when I was 25 and all the
Yeah.
dreams that I still had. And I think with sports, we kind of forget sometimes that there's still life after retirement, right? There's still life after um, somebody is done playing sports, and people still have families and fiancés and kids and dreams outside of sports. And it's really heartbreaking to see um, anyone's life end like that, right? And at such a young age. So my heart breaks for anybody that calls Holden a friend or family, and my condolences go out to anybody affected as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Well said for you as well for you. Where were you Saturday when you found the news?
So I was actually getting into a lift to head down to the Union 2 game, which
Oh,
is
wow.
it was really
Oof.
almost kind of it stopped me in my tracks, to be honest. I almost thought about not going down to the game, but I figured that if a bunch of kids have to strap up their boots and play and try to get a playoff win for their friend, it was my duty to be down there and help share that story for them. And I can't
I love
imagine
that.
what it was like to have to play in those circumstances. And Coach Marlon LeBlanc talked about having to tell his players 30 minutes before the game. Otherwise, they would have found out by the video board that was displayed in the stadium. It's nobody should have to go through that. It's heartbreaking. And to see people in the stadium learn about his passing as the video board was put up was it's hard to describe, and I'm getting emotional about it, and I apologize, but
No, no, no.
it's something that has affected this whole union community. And I think you never wish for these types of things, but I love to see how much people have come together and supported each other and Holden and his family during all of this.
Yeah, Jimmy, and it is very emotional, and especially since it's still so fresh. It's never, it's always unexpected. It's always unexpected, and to be on a day where you're talking about the Union 2, who have been playing fantastic soccer, looking to punch their tickets to the Eastern Conference Finals, and instead you're sitting there mourning the loss of a 25-year-old who was, as you talk about, a friend, a family member, and so much more, and have to think about what everybody is going through in that moment and for you to even see it firsthand, it's heartbreaking. It's devastating. And I know that you put out a post on Twitter regarding Holden Trent having his number retired and started the conversation and discourse around what should be done in his honor for the Union. And I know people had various opinions on it. And I'd love to get your thoughts, even just to bring that conversation into here of, for anybody that missed it, as you mentioned in your tweet, of the team should honor him by retiring his jersey number 13. And people had various opinions on how else the Union should honor him. So definitely would love to get your thoughts on, now that we've had it's still so fresh, but still time to think about it. What do you feel like is the best way to honor? Are you still thinking a jersey retirement? What else do you think the Union can do so we can make sure to keep, the legacy and the memory of Holden Trent?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to work with the family and what their wishes are and how they would like his legacy to be remembered. I think that is most important.
Definitely.
It's
Well
not
said.
really about what we want or what we think is right. It's what the family feels most comfortable with and how they would like him to be remembered. And to me, when I kind of think about the differences, I don't think retiring jersey numbers in soccer is as big as, say, like NHL or MLB or
Yeah.
whatever, basketball. But we have the Ring of Honor in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and there's only one member in it, and it's kind of um, it's one of those things that's still debated on, who is the next person to kind of go in there, and what qualifies them as worthy to go in it. And I just think this is a little bit different than that. I don't think it really matters how many games someone played, how many wins they had. It really doesn't matter. The bottom line is, thank goodness, it's very seldomly that an active player of an active roster passes away from a sports organization. And I think that person deserves to be cemented in that team's history for forever. And I don't know what the right way to do that is, to be completely honest. The jersey thing feels a little fitting to me because, like I said, the Ring of Honor, we still don't really know kind of what qualifies someone to go in that. Maybe that is something that's fitting for him. But at the end of the day, I would love to see something where he is honored for the rest of time at Subaru Park or wherever the Union end up playing their games, 50 years from now or whatever. But I think that to me is something that I would love to see is something permanent, as long as that is in the family's wishes as well.
That's really well said and great points. I will say this. I think he belongs in the Ring of Honor, and I'll tell you why. Everyone we've talked about that's in, obviously Sebastian Letou, or should be in, whether it be Alejandro Bedoya or Andre Blake, all three of those players, you can think about impact. And if you didn't look at this past weekend and the impact that this has had over the American soccer community, I mean, it's you can see it. It's there. So I think that he belongs in there because this impact has been there so far.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point you brought up, Jimmy, about like it shouldn't be about the stats, because someone's going to look at, oh, well, last season he had 5 starts for Union 2 in league play. He played a game this season with them as well. So we're not talking stats because he passed away. This is bigger than stats, numbers, saves, goals against average. It's much bigger than that. And I do think, I like your point about like it's got to come down to what the family wants, but I do think overall there should be something they can figure out to have, whether it's a memorial or it could be a plaque with his image, his name, some words about him. Something should be done to remember his legacy, because I also feel like, bigger picture, what precedent are we setting if the only times we honor someone is if they are breaking scoring records or shutout records? Because in sports, it's family, it's community, it's brotherhood, and to me, that is more important to push that as the focus point here of, no, this is one of our brothers. He was supposed to be playing with this team. We're supposed to be talking about him with the Union 2 this past weekend, whether he played in the game or not, to be there, not to be having his face on the Jumbotron and us talking about rest in peace Holden Trent. So to me, it's bigger than stats in the same way, because this is family, this is community, and he's a part of this family, and being that he passed away so young, you have to do something to remember him by.
Absolutely. And Coach Marlon LeBlanc talked about after the win, they kind of understood that in order to be able to talk about Holden with as much time and respect as they wanted to, they needed to go out and honor him and win. Otherwise, all the questions are about losing the game. And that's kind of the double-edged sword of sports, is that you have to talk about both of those things no matter what. But he talked about how inspiring it was for those young kids and how much they wanted to go out there and honor him the best way they could. And they did that, and they got it done. And I mean, it's a really sad situation. But one of the things that really stuck out to me was Marlon also made sure to note that Holden went out a hero. I don't know exactly when this decision was made. It kind of seems a little hard to understand based off of what report you read, but it seems as if Holden made a decision fairly recently to become an organ donor. And the family, obviously there's links going around for donations, which I will share on my Twitter profile for anybody that's tuning in that is, someone that reads some of my stuff. They can find that to donate if they want. But the family has also asked that if people want to help remember Holden, that they can sign up to become an organ donor themselves, if that's something they feel comfortable with. And they view that as Holden's kind of last testament to how much he really appreciated helping other people. And I think that's really special and a really big testament to who he was. So I wanted to make sure to share that as well. And I'll share that link around as well for people.
Truly a hero. And I love that little tidbit there as well, being the organ donor. Real quick, like obviously you want to get some of your analysis. So obviously the Union 2, they played super inspired, like you mentioned there. Talk to us a little bit about the match and kind of how it played out. Obviously, the Union 2 win in 4-3 and PKs, punching their ticket into the Eastern Conference Final there. What was the action like on Saturday?
Yeah, it's good. I have a lot of fun watching that team. I mean, Union's whole foundation is built off the academy, and it's one of those things when the first team doesn't make the playoffs, you can go and watch the academy team and see these things that the Union front office talks about and boasts about. And the problem is how do you keep some of those people? And one of those people that I was watching all night on Saturday and thinking, how do the Union keep this person? Because they need to, is Neil Pierre at center back. I mean, the kid's I think he just turned 17, but he looks well above his age. He's strong. He's physical. He has this ability to pin balls over the top, and it's really quite impressive what he is doing at quite a young age. And I think it's going to be hard for Union to keep him around based off of what other people have been hearing and saying and stuff. But you can see it right away. That's someone, and especially we're talking after a season where Union were really bad defensively. We haven't really had that standout defender homegrown. Andrew Craig just hasn't really worked out. So Neil Pierre is someone I was really high on watching that game. But as a whole, I thought they put in a really good effort. They did give up that late goal, and just after watching the first team this season, it was kind of one of those, oh man, here we go moments. But the difference is right away you saw the team look around and pick each other up, and the crowd actually helped pick the boys up too. And they had a couple chances to steal the game late and get a goal in overtime. And luckily they were able to get it done in PKs. Couple of huge saves by Andrew Rick. Great clinching PK by CJ Olney. And overall, the vibes are good down in Chester for Union too. Really great crowd for MLS Next Pro, in all things considered. And would love to see more people out there on Saturday night as they try to, like you said, punch their ticket to the final.
Yeah, and there's a lot of history that this team has been able to accomplish so far. As the youngest team in the Eastern Conference, they had the highest finish in the conference table in club history with their 15 wins and 52 points in the regular season. They also lead the league in goals, which we love to see because we love that to carry over as well. Second best defense in the East. Definitely would love to see that with the Union senior team. And then as we talk about that win, it was their first time ever beating NYCFC's second team in the postseason. For now, their first ever, of course, time hosting the Eastern Conference Final against Columbus Crew 2. This group has a lot of young talent, and I know there's been a number of conversation around the homegrowns for the Union as that being their foundation and needing to make a tweak, whether it was Kai Wagner's post-game comments or just the discourse around the team. But when you look across their roster, you highlight and can look at players like Edward Davis, CJ Olney, Frankie Westfield. They have a lot of talent front to back. And we have been seeing this group has the potential of guys that can be on the senior team. Coming off of Quinn Sullivan just gets a new contract. The whole homegrown conversation is very fresh. What are your thoughts on not only the current homegrowns, Quinn, Nate, Jack, all throughout the team, but also this up-and-coming crew? Because although we are ready to move away from some of the homegrowns, I actually feel like this is not the time. There might be some really great homegrowns that they have across this roster that can be poised to be a strong fit for the senior team if needed. So I don't know. It's a weird balance. Of course, there needs to still be more outside of the homegrowns, but it does feel like there are a few players on this group that can help the senior team. What are your thoughts on who those players are and honestly the future for the homegrown foundation and this group in general, I should say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we just talked about Neil Pierre, and I think he's someone, like I just said, is someone that Union are going to try really, really hard to at least get under their belt first team minutes for a little bit, and it's going to be difficult. But there are a number of other guys that I think maybe not so much next year, but the year after that, you should be looking to kind of break in and get some solid first team minutes, and maybe even some of those guys next year. Frankie Westfield's a guy that I think prior to this season, you probably weren't thinking about that, but has had an incredible year, has put up close to 10 digit or close to double digit goals from left back, left wing back position, which we know Union love to have some attacking threat from their left back with Kai Wagner, who doesn't really have a backup right now. So that is someone that kind of, with not really seeing anything from Isaiah LaFleur this year with his injury, that's still kind of open for Frankie to maybe kind of see if Union can test the waters there in preseason next year. And then of course you've got guys like David Vasquez and CJ Olney who have been highly rated in Union's hierarchy for a number of years now, and I think are starting to get not only they're not only starting to find their skill set and their confidence, but they're starting to get that little bit of kind of I don't want to say swagger, but almost that sense of belonging, and they can sense that they have the ability to take that next step up and compete for first team minutes in the next couple of years. So I think there's a few guys that are ready to kind of compete for some minutes, and I think that's something Union need is some competition.
Definitely.
In the squad, whether you want to argue that's the type of competition they need, or if it's if they need to bring in someone with more history and experience to add that competition. That's a fair debate, but I think in terms of homegrowns, I think you've got a really solid foundation and a couple decent apples to pick from in the next couple years in order to kind of supplement your squad. I don't know that any of them are going to be the cornerstone in the next couple years, but I think instead of going and trying to get somebody from X League, third tier, there's a couple options from within that you'll see come up naturally and organically.
Jimmy, so let's stay on those homegrowns a little bit. So at the top of the show, we talked about the Quinn Sullivan extension that happened over the week here. The U22 initiative was used on him, and I know some in the fan base won't be too happy. Will the Union spend money? We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see on that one. But look, dude, like he had a great year, right? Like he played over 2,400 minutes. He had 5 goals and 11 assists. He truly married himself to that right shuttle position. I'm super intrigued to what we're going to see from him next year. Want to see him be more clinical in that final third. I think that's the last piece for him in his game. What do you see in 2025 from Quinn Sullivan, Jimmy?
I think you guys said it exactly right there, is that he looks a lot of times like Union's most dangerous player with the ball at his feet, the guy that's going to make things happen, going to beat guys off the dribble and kind of make things happen when you need a goal. But we did see quite a bit him fail to put in that final ball and hit the goal when he needed in kind of the middle stretch of that season. But he did pick it up late in the season with that goal in the decision game decision day game. And I think that you can see that he is an important piece to Union's kind of attacking presence. I don't know that we have necessarily found his best position. I think in the current system, his best position is that right shuttler. But I don't know that is his best position. And I think you could say the same thing about Jack McGlynn as well. So I think it's important that they locked him up. I think he deserves the pay raise that he got, or we don't know the number yet, but I would assume he's getting a pay raise with that U22 initiative slot. And I think that is not only earned, but is it's good business by the Union, who have treated Cavan very well in order to keep him around. I think it's just as good for them to go out and say, you know what, we're going to take care of your brother as well, and give him kind of the upgrade in contract that he deserves as well.
Love
Definitely.
it. I love it. All right, so before we let you go, who are the two teams that will be in the MLS Cup final?
Oof, man. Let me see here. Let me just look up the bracket real quick. I mean, I think, you have to like Columbus and kind of
Yeah.
their ability to beat teams in knockout soccer, but
I would love that.
it's really hard to ignore what Miami's
man.
doing right now. The one thing I will say, guys, I know I'm straying from the question a little bit here, but I think it's weird. I don't really like that. Like LA beats Colorado 5-0 in game one. They could end up losing the next two games 1-0.
Yeah.
Not a
And
fan of it either.
and be knocked out. I just think it's I didn't even watch a lot of the game ones because I know they don't really matter that much. But to answer your question, not digress too much, I think right now I'm going either one of the two teams from LA and Miami.
Miami.
That's
LA.
fair.
We just went through an LA New York World Series. Oh God.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's gonna be rough. Well, Jimmy, listen, dude, we appreciate your time, man. We'll have to have you on again here in the offseason. You do such a fantastic job over at Philly Sports Network, man. We will talk soon, all right, brother?
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks
Jimmy.
for having me, guys. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week.
You too. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.